I was gonna say I don't know if this would work for that, but that this is what I was saying before you guys had to go wrangle your daughter.
My
That
wrangle is pretty much just like Jodie Foster and Kirsten Stewart and Panic Room, just like we just have to like turn the lights off and like be quiet until she settles down.
Pretend you're not there.
and James plays like the fucking what's his name? Is it Dwight Yoakam in that movie? He plays that
I
role.
think it is.
Like outside the bedroom, just like tapping the wall and stuff like that. Usually I try to give myself a day or two ahead of time to watch these, but we were really we had the Fortnite screening was yesterday.
Oh yeah,
that
nice.
was so we had that, and then this whole week before this, I did like an extended cut of the short that we did for Fortnite, that I'm gonna submit to Gen Con again, just as like a maybe, you know,
A shot in the dark.
Yeah, so I've been working on that, the edit for that, like all day or all week. It's due tomorrow. I'm practically done. I just have to plug in a couple other things, so I should be good now. But that's why, at least on my part, I was so late. Just wanted to say it was very unprofessional of me having guests on and
Yeah.
I said at least it's fresh. It's fresh. I just have to go off. Well, I mean, not that I don't remember it, but I just watched it last night. But
yeah, it's like, you know, we are very bad at doing our podcast. Sometimes it seems like I it's like one of the few creative outlets I still have left, and yet I'm like, I gotta watch a movie tonight. It's really weird how that happens.
I know, it's like I watch movies anyway,
right?
But it's like I can't do one more in the week. No. Welcome back, everyone, to episode 42.
42,
right? Of There Will Be Duds. I almost forgot what the name of the show is for a second. I'm your co-host, TJ, aka J Spot Jack Cheese, and with me as always,
I am Nick, aka Dr. Funk on Twitch, and with us, as this time, our special guests.
Hi, I'm Charlie. I don't have any special socials except for my personal one. You can't have that yet, so.
Fair enough.
I'm James. So a man who appreciates a well-made shoe.
Nice. Oh, that's funny you mentioned well-made shoes.
Wow, what a segue.
The movie that I watched, and I think you guys watched it too this week.
Yeah.
I didn't even say the title, but you guys already know because
some of us hours ago.
It's like minutes ago or literal hour ago. We watched the 1963 movie High and Low, directed by Akira Kurosawa. It tells the story of a wealthy, aspiring owner of National Shoes, I think.
Yes.
Kingo Gondo, played by Toshiro Mifune, who, on the night that he kind of reveals his plan to take over National Shoes, he gets a phone call from somebody saying that they kidnapped his son and they want 30 million yen, but he needs that 30 million yen to do his buyout of the company. So it's at first it struggles with him deciding whether he wants to continue with his gaining ownership of his company or allowing a child to die. But it's quickly changes hands. It kind of subverts your expectations quite a few times. Changes directions a bit very early on because and I'll just kind of segue into chat now. The only thing I knew about this was like the basic plot line that was like wealthy businessman gets a phone call that his son is kidnapped. And I was so like taken aback by the fact that like 2 minutes later you're like, oh, it's not his son, it's somebody else's son. I was like, what? I had no idea.
I knew nothing about this movie. I asked James, I was like, is this a samurai movie? And he said no. I'm like, the bare naked ladies lied. But it was great. Did you guys randomly choose this? Was this randomly chosen?
So we have this. We have our cup.
How fresh.
That basically I opened it to anybody in the group, but a good portion of these are ones from me. I'd say at least 70% are mine. But it's basically just movies that a lot of them are movies that I haven't seen that I want, just stuff on my watch list like this. High and Low is a perfect example of that. It's like, oh, it's a Kurosawa movie that I haven't seen. Put it on the list. And then some of them, like we did Zodiac last week, I'm like, because that's one of my favorite movies. So, it's a mix of like stuff I haven't seen before that I want to watch, or just stuff that I like that I want to talk about, or
Yeah. I was just wondering if it was randomly chosen because it has like, well, I guess it doesn't have flavors of this. The Batman has flavors of this. It just... and that's why I was wondering if it's on purpose or not, because there's a lot of like noir, and I was like, this is like kind of like, I guess, hopefully no spoilers, trying to be vague if any listeners haven't seen that.
This is the fourth episode in a row where the Batman has been brought up, and they're like, oh, you haven't seen it yet, you piece of shit. It comes to streaming on the 18th. It comes to streaming on the 18th, so I might just wait until then at this point. But
snuggle in. It's a 3-hour movie.
I know,
but it's a worthy 3 hours. I would say there's like maybe 20-15 minutes that's like, I don't know about that, but the rest is like pretty excellent.
I think it's okay. I was gonna wait until we got like towards the end, but since you did,
we don't have to talk about the end first. It's just there's lots of parts that remind me of the Batman in it. So
we don't have to like go into the end scene, but like the final thought that I was left with in that final scene is I was like wanting the kidnapper guy to just go, Bruce. Wait.
My last note is, damn, Riddler core.
Okay. I'm kind of piecing together maybe some stuff.
The kidnapper would definitely be a Redditor if this was made today.
I like physically, and this makes me feel bad about myself for this comment I'm about to make, but the actor who plays the kidnapper really has the vibe of Anthony Perkins in Psycho, and to me. And I noticed that because I'm attracted to both of them, and it makes me upset. So,
gotta do some soul searching after this recording.
Are you attracted to Anthony Perkins, or are you attracted to Norman Bates? Because one of those things is more.
I think it's more Anthony Perkins.
Anthony Perkins is very.
But I am attracted to,
like Edward
I'm attracted to, JD and Heathers. Is that Christian Slater, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's JD. I don't even know if I'm attracted to Christian Slater. That's JD for sure, and that's a definite that's a bad sign. So it's bad.
Well, it makes sense because James is just like all of those characters.
All of those characters for sure.
Pretty much.
He's
just a little bit like ooh.
Wait, did you say James like James from Twin Peaks?
No, I mean James, the one.
Like
I would almost categorize James from Twin Peaks into this too.
That is true.
He's more forehead than anything else, but kind of the brooding brunette bad boy.
Yeah.
So on the topic of who we thought the bad guy was most like, what really caught my eye like over and over and over is his sunglasses and the reflections in them.
Yeah.
He's like those sunglasses are fucking tight.
Yeah. And well, like you can tell that they had to do some special effects to get the reflections the way they did, because like the camera's directly on his face, and you see the reflection of the like Yokohama skyline, and like every time it came up, I was like, damn, he looks like Kevin from Sin City. I just kept thinking about that, and I'm like, and he's like creepy, kind of like that.
And and up until, does he even speak until the final scene?
I don't
think so.
Yeah,
I mean, I guess technically he speaks on the phone, but I mean.
Oh yeah,
but
I didn't think about that at all.
Yeah.
That's his big monologue, is like the Paris, Texas looking almost.
Yeah.
This
prison
this
scene.
might be like modern sensibilities creeping in, but I was like high key hoping for. I'm like, it's got to be one of the board members paying this guy to make him do this to like screw over Gondo, like, but it wasn't. It was just.
I think, I mean, I feel like the movie definitely wants you to like try to figure out who it could be, and I definitely think that conversation, but right before it happens, is like, that's supposed to put sus on the board member guys.
Right.
I have like 50 accusations all throughout here. I'm like, it's this person, and all my notes is this person.
I think I was like, I think my first sort of inclination towards thinking like, I don't think this is anybody at all. I like what it kind of was. I was like, I think this is just somebody that lives in that town. Was when the police are like, oh, the kidnapper was right. That house is very aggravating. Like it's looking down on all of us.
Yeah.
And I was like, I think that's it. I what's that meme, like guy who's like only foreign film he's seen is Parasite. I'm like, this is giving me a lot of Parasite vibes. Like, but like that part especially, like, you know, the nice house on the hill, and then it literally pans down to like the dirty, like mucky river water, and that was the part where I was like, I think this is a nobody.
I mean, between this and Ikiru, from what I can remember, I feel like Kurosawa has been there's a lot of like sort of class consciousness stuff sprinkled in. Like one of my notes I wrote down was when the one police officer, the bald guy, the bigger guy that they kind of riff on all the time. Yeah, he's like, I waste no love on the rich, was like one of his lines on like the train.
Hell yeah.
But
my first note was bitches be shopping, because they were just like talking about the shoes and just
one of my first notes is actually, this is a watershed moment for Tarantino's foot fetish with that pile of shoes.
He saw this at way too formative of an age.
Yeah. But what a lot of my notes was brain too small, woman brain too small, because there's so many times he says to his wife, like, you don't understand business, like, get out of here. And like, you're a woman, you wouldn't get it. I'm like, brain too small, we don't know. what do?
It is ironic then that he was kind of getting after her about like, oh, you're spoiled and you grew up rich all the time. It's like, bitch, you live in a house that's like on a hill. It's literally on a hill. What are you talking about?
That was something that I had to realign my expectations for, because like, I like with Ikiru and other things like that, him being class conscious and the kind of like media echo chamber I'm kind of in. I was expecting more of like the story to be critical of Gondo, and then like when he, you know,
he's just kind of gone for like a third of it.
Yeah, well, like when he makes the decision, right, that he's gonna actually start like participating and trying to get the boy back, and then like by the end, like how he comes to terms with everything that's happened, it was like a really good arc for him that I wasn't expecting, because most of the social commentary stuff today is just like rich person bad. And so like
incapable
that's
of
what I was
change.
expecting. Yeah, no, I was completely ready for him to be like, not doing it. Nope. Fuck them kids.
I like that. Like, he does kind of disappear for like the second half, and then you meet up with him again at the very end. And it was almost like his development or that social commentary switched from him directly to the public's reaction, because it was like, oh, there's a public outcry over like him getting fired from National Shoes, and like everybody thinks he's a hero, but it's like these people didn't see him say like, no, I don't give a shit, I'm gonna let this kid die.
Yeah.
They just hear, oh, hero saves child, right?
If he dies, he dies.
Yeah. And then yeah, I agree. Like I like that scene where they go back to his house and he's just like, yeah, you know, I guess I did what I had to do.
And really, it was only after the police chief was like, look, all you have to do is tell them that you're going to. And he's like,
yeah.
Oh, okay. I guess I kind of get it. Like they kind of had to drag him, you know, kicking and screaming to that conclusion that like he's a dude on the phone. You can just tell him whatever, and then we can figure it out from there.
Mm-hmm.
Well, all the scenes, kind of pivoting away from the rich dude, just something that really like stuck with me is that I like it was like every 2 minutes I was pausing it and I asked James, is this a stage play? Was this originally a stage play? Because the way that it is framed and the way that they have people like positioned like is absolutely gorgeous. And every time I was like, oh my God, that's amazing.
Yep.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And so I was like, if it's not a stage play, it should be. And I don't think it is. I don't think it is.
The way yeah, go ahead.
I'll give you I love talking about this because this is one of the reasons that Akira Kurosawa is and will always be one of my favorite directors of all time. I actually at a point went, oh my God, because I was just in fucking awe of like I told Clea this. I was like, I don't know if there's any director where I am like, you know, I can watch a Stanley Kubrick movie and I can appreciate everything, like, but or like a Fincher movie. Like those are also some of my favorite directors ever. But Kurosawa, it's so obvious in the moment that like this guy is just fucking brilliant at like everything he does. And I thought that too. I mean, I knew this wasn't a stage play, but that is just that framing, that blocking. I actually wrote down. I said, I'll say it again because I said this when we did Akira too. No one blocks scenes like Kurosawa. He is the GOAT of scene blocking and framing characters. There was the scene that I actually like said, oh my God, out loud to. It's one of the phone calls. And Gondo's sitting on his couch talking to the guy. All the police guys are like crowded around him, so you can't see anything behind these guys. And then he stands up and the camera follows him up and his wife is standing in the doorway.
Yeah.
And then she starts talking to him. And then he's like, yeah, okay, whatever. And then he sits back down. And then you see like the kid's dad like walk in the background. And now he's part of the scene. And it's all done in this unbroken take. It's fucking brilliant. And he does it all the time. It's like it's like he doesn't even have to think about it. It's just so impressive. He does it. It's yeah.
I was just checking my notebook to see if I wrote it about Ikiru. And Ikiru, I said it was shot beautifully, but I did know it was like staged beautifully. So like I made the same connection from when we watched that. But I think what stood out to me and what Charlie said, what made me think that was like this is like a stage play, was the way that like because like that initial scene in their house is like 40 minutes long.
Yeah.
I was like, is this gonna take place like the entire movie in there? That's like I wouldn't have minded. I thought it would have. I was like, okay, I am hunkered down. I'm ready. But like the way that like the different police officers moved and stood, and like there were a few moments where like it almost seemed like they were all part of one moving piece. Where like one guy would cross the room and the camera would move, and everyone else would like kind of like shift into place. And every single time it looked so cool the way that they did it.
Yeah, there was one where a guy went from like camera left to camera right, camera followed him over, then another guy doing something else went this way, it followed him back over, and then boom, back, and it just like it was so flawless. So cool. It actually
sorry,
go ahead.
I'm almost done. I was just gonna say that whole the initial act, which I also thought it was after a while I was like, is the whole thing gonna be here? It reminded me of another one of my favorite movies of all time, 12 Angry Men. because that's another one that's just like staged.
That's why I thought it was based on a stage play. So I'm like, this reminds me of 12 Angry Men, just the way that like
so many guys standing with their hands behind their
back,
looking off frame.
Yeah, smoking cigarettes.
Yeah, go with what you were gonna say, James.
Well, like when you were talking about why this movie came up earlier, I thought it was because Cinefix did a video about it, and I remembered watching it. I didn't remember what it was about. And then we watched the movie, and we both several times paused it, and we were just like, look at this, like where everyone's arranged.
Yeah,
there are like 3 different times.
It was 23:31, 25:33, and an hour and 24 minutes and 46 seconds.
Yeah, and it's not just in the room with the phone call. Like later on in the detective office, like and then in the like jazz bar, the American like dive bar.
I thought that was really cool.
Those were all great. But I went back and looked at what the Cinefix was about, and it was like 3 moments of fantastic blocking, and they're all from High and Low.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
I think the one where they're like, I think they're one of the times that they're like the kidnapper calls and they're all kind of huddled around the camera or around the phone. Sorry, I forget which time it was, but there's one that I was just like, this is because there's like the one guy was like listening in. They were all just like huddled like so perfectly, like everyone was just around him. It was great.
Yeah, I want to see you like just take a picture with your phone. I want to see the frames that you guys are talking about or whatever. I'm interested just because there is so many. Yeah, you mentioned the police like precinct scene. I love that, like just smack dab in the middle of the movie, they're like, we're just gonna have a 20-minute long scene of the police like breaking down like what they know, like in minute detail. Which, if loyal listeners listen to our Zodiac episode from last week, I am obviously a fan of breaking down like cases like this in minute detail, because I was so in. It was literally just like, okay, you guys stand up and tell us what you know. He's like, it's really hot here, so he's probably living here or something like that. And I was like, yes, tell me more.
That detective narrative really worked with that scene. Like it really felt like one of those noir drama detectives, because like all of the things that they had to talk about, what a lot of like mystery police movies, it feels like this information is kind of just dumped on them, or they find it by chance or coincidence. Like, oh, I ran into this person who said this. Like every single piece of information they have is like, yeah, no, they're good at their jobs, and they did the correct work to collect this information. It was just like a really satisfying moment of like good policing.
Yeah.
I forgot, speaking of that, I forgot what exactly is said, but I think it's before they pick up Shinchi, like the little boy, before they get him. And they were like, we don't know, or maybe it's after, but they're like, we don't know what he could be, but something suggests that he could work in medicine. I'm like, oh my God, he does, you're right. Because he works and lives at like the Red Cross, doesn't he?
It was the ether.
Yeah.
On the rack.
Oh yeah.
They're like, he's either in med school or he's like a welder, because those are the only 2 occupations that can get that type of ether to use.
Yeah. Also, in the police precinct station, we Takashi Shimura finally showed up. I didn't know he was in this one. Yeah, that's the main guy from Ikiru, Nick, and he's also Kanbei in Seven Samurai. He's in a few of his stuff. There's actually a few vets, because another one of the police investigator guys is Katsushiro from Seven Samurai. The main, he's not like the head police guy, but like the main police guy, the guy that you kind of follow the most. He's like the main bad guy in Yojimbo, and he's one of the sons in Ran, which is also, I mean, all of these movies that I've mentioned are great because I so far to date I have not watched a Kurosawa that I have not like at least like loved, I would say. And this one is definitely no exception. And apparently another one of the samurai from Seven Samurai was in it too, Minoru Chiaki, but I didn't notice him. He's just credited as a reporter.
Okay. Something I read online was that like this is like when you see a movie and they list like 30 different actors' names, it's just every big name is a cameo somewhere.
Yeah.
Like this is like one of those for Japan where it's just like put them all in. We want everybody Kurosawa's worked with, just like get them in the Pacific, like on the train or in the police precinct or something. Like we're gonna fit them in.
Yeah. I going back to the police precinct one more time. That was another thing that I was noticing is you have all these dudes, dozens of dudes, crowded in this room, and like I noticed, I was like, Jesus, they're sweaty.
I know.
Jesus, it's hot in there. And I'm like, oh no, that's the point, because like the kidnapper even mentions like, oh, you're sitting there in your air conditioned room. And meanwhile, it's like 105 degrees down here. And I was like, there's all these dudes putting in all this work and effort, this super long scene going through everything they know. And they're sweating their balls off working for this dude. That, and then there was, and then the other thing that I like noted too is that, which I mean, this is more obvious, but okay, sure, it's concerning Gondo's money, but they completely sideline Shinichi's father. Like, even once they find out that it's his kid, like, and they do that. I mean, that's totally on purpose, because there's this, like, it's most obvious in this scene where it's one of the last ones before Gondo relents and decides to give him his money, and he's like, no, I'm not gonna do it. He's like, God damn it, I'm not gonna do it. I don't care if he dies, whatever. And then he like tells that one guy to go like fuck off or whatever. And then he leaves the room, and then the camera pans over, and Shinichi's dad is just like standing there on the side, like Buster Bluth.
I noticed that like right when they figure out it's not his son, it's his chauffeur's son. Like he starts
Aoki?
Mr. Aoki.
Mr. Aoki,
yeah.
I should have known that. I used to listen to Steve Aoki in college a lot. But he says to him, he's like, yeah, stop worrying. Don't worry about it. Like, just don't worry so much. I'm like, man, excuse me? Don't worry.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
Yeah. And then, like, that dude has to go to Gondo and be like, yeah, don't, it's okay. He'll probably be okay. Don't spend your money.
Yeah.
Dude.
Oh, man. And then, like, there's that. And then, like, at the end, when they're, like, getting close to catching the guy, there's a quote that says, this guy, like, he basically says, this guy sucks. Like, not only did he kidnap a kid and threaten to kill him and kill people with heroin, they kind of brush over that, too. He's like, he put Mr. Gondo in so much debt. Like, if you're someone in that much debt, you deserve capital punishment.
Yeah.
Like, dang.
They're like, yeah, 15 years isn't enough. I was like, is this entrapment? This is kind of entrapment, because they forge a document to try to put him in a situation. And because of that forged document, like, a random drug abuser dies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was something where I was like, wait a minute, because they're following around. Like, he makes the drug, he picks the woman up, takes her to the hotel, and the guy goes, he's gonna test it on her. And I'm like, then fucking go in there and then catch him for attempted murder.
Is that not enough to put this dude away?
Yeah, I don't know anything about like the Japanese legal system, but there are so many things I'm like, is that really how it is? Because they're like,
wait, it's not extortion if it's
not your
kid.
Yeah, or it's not your relative. Okay. It doesn't count. And I'm like, or what's another one? Or like, they're like, he's only going to get 15 years. I'm like, he's saying that he is going to kill a person. He's like, if you don't do this, I'm planning on killing you. That's literally premeditated murder. But
well, yeah, it's great because we have this big long scene where you're like, yeah, they're doing really good police work. This is great. This is really good. And they take all of that goodwill and they're like, we're gonna let this lady die. So so this guy can have all his money back. So he can take over the shoe store. Which he doesn't even end up being able to do that. Because like, I don't know. I'm hot off of finishing this movie, and it was like such a bummer of an ending.
Mm-hmm.
Like the fact that he's like, I started my own shoe store because like his house got seized anyway. Like it didn't even matter.
Yeah,
I really liked that ending upon reflection because like I was expecting him to be able to get his like to be able to go back to where he was before, and actually that was the ending of the book that this is based on.
Oh,
like
really?
he actually does go back and he becomes the president of National Shoes. But Kurosawa was like,
no,
we're gonna have this like moral spiritual standoff, and then there is no clean ending, and it's like
that sounds like Kurosawa.
Yeah, that line where he's like, why is it that we have to hate each other? And the other guy's like, I don't know, I just do. And it's like
that's fucking hard.
Yeah.
Also, something I noticed, man, parenting was just different in the 60s because these two kids are like, I mean, I know I wrote his name down.
It's Jun and Shinichi.
Jun, yeah. Jun and Shinichi are coming off fresh from an attempted kidnap and an actual kidnap. And their parents are just like, go let her run outside.
I know.
Yeah, they're like, they are not traumatized at all by anything.
Yeah, it was literally 24 hours after all this got resolved. They're like, you can go play and run around.
Yeah,
no.
Or like, hey, Shinichi, do you want to get in the car and go revisit all of? You want to play like a greatest hits tour of all the places that you were at with these heroin junkies while you were kidnapped? Well, come on, let's go for a car ride.
I think. And not to say that the police might not have done that too, but I think like you're supposed to kind of get that the dad is like kind of going off the road.
Yeah.
Because like right away, that was funny when they said like, oh yeah, go outside and play, and then the dad stops him, and I assumed he was gonna be like, no, you're staying here, but he just stopped him to be like, do you remember anything else, you idiot?
Yeah, well that was so funny because like. Mr. Aoki, I think up until that point, had been very, George Michael Bluth, just kind of like, oh, I'm so sad. And then when he starts talking to his son, it's almost like a switch. Like he was like so stern and like angry with him. I was like, holy shit. Like he just on a dime turned. And it's probably because he felt, like he owed. What is his name?
Gondo.
He felt like he owed Gondo like so much money that he's like, we have to repay this debt.
Right.
But he goes from like really, really sad, humble servant to just like snapping at his son and like playing detective on his own.
Yeah.
So 2 comments. One says, okay, Rain Man. Was you need to get me a suitcase that is exactly 2.75 inches in height. And I was like, okay. And then like, you find out it fits through
it's just small enough to fit through the train.
The train window.
On a train.
But that leads to the sick like peak smoke added probably obviously.
That
like,
was one of the coolest parts.
It was so cool. I loved that.
Maybe think of Good Time when they rob the place at the very beginning of that movie, and they have like the capsules in the bag of money that like that are on a timer, so they explode, and like it's like they're just everything is covered in pink. It's a little different idea, but
I thought of Schindler's List was the one that made me think of.
Yeah.
Oh, the black and white color.
Schindler's List, and unfortunately, A Birth of a Nation. Because it was like one of the first movies to use like color filters.
Yeah.
But
Well,
I like that. I really like the use of the pink smoke. I wish the kid hadn't pointed it out first. That was like the one thing. I wish it had just like the camera had been like angled and like showing the window, and then they noticed it or something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like a nitpick, but yeah, it was mostly cool. Which almost made me wonder if that was done after the fact, and like in the original movie it wasn't colored, like it was just black and white, and that's why they had to have the kid, because it was a black and white movie, be like, hey look, it's pink smoke. You can't tell because this is a black and white movie. But just a guess.
It looked like that thing that they did with the movies from like the 1920s, where like they had to like color each individual frame. I forget what that specific process is called.
Yeah.
But there's
those always look so weird.
I forget their teeth. So their teeth are like gray.
Yeah. It's very strange. Okay, I'm gonna send a picture to Big Kids, and we can bring it to. I'll bring it up on the stream, but I guess the audio listeners will just have to go off of, maybe somebody knows the more direct reference. But so I thought of this, and if you don't recognize it, I'll send you the video and you can just like watch that later. But when they had the drawing that the kid drew of like the mountain, guys, and then the police guy was like, keep driving until you see this view. It made me think of this. If you guys have ever seen that.
Oh, what is that? That looks familiar.
You haven't? Oh, okay. I'll send you the link afterwards. It's a legitimate police sketch done of somebody off of like a witness testimony.
I thought that the landscape was a police drawing at first, and I was like, "Holy shit!" Okay, but then I realized, I'm like, "Oh, the kid drew it."
Yeah. No, but like they actually found this guy off of this photo.
Oh my god.
Yeah. I'll send like the video link to you guys like on Facebook afterwards, but yeah. That was it. I just wanted to point that out.
No, I thought it was like a legitimate police sketch at first, and I was like, they couldn't find anybody else to draw that, but
why'd the detective have to do it in crayon?
Yeah.
Yeah. Whoops.
Let's see.
Pull up just a second.
My feelings on my feelings on Kawanashi is like they're all over the place all throughout this. My first note is Kawanashi is a snake. Is that how they say his name? Kawanishi. Kawanishi is a snake? ? And then I have then I think I was like, no, he's good. And then I was like, no, I don't trust him. And I'm like, no, Kawanishi's good. Then Kawanishi is a woke king. I don't remember what he was even talking about, but I was like, yeah. And then he was like, I'm actually going to take that position. I'm like, Kawanishi's a bootlicker. I'm like, Kawanishi's in cahoots with the kidnapper. Just all over the place for this guy. But I think he was just... Oh, I said he was woke when he was like, I'm not gonna go on the plane and bring them that money. I'm not gonna do it. And I was like, he's woke. And then I realized that he was doing it also. He had his own motives. And I'm like, no, he's actually not good. So all over the place. There's so many theories. I thought Shinichi was like, for a second I was like, oh yeah, Shinichi is gonna kill the kidnapper because of, God knows, like, it's kill or be killed. Remember that. And I was like, yeah. And I'm like, he's going to do it. But he didn't get it. That would have been cool, though. Would have been hilarious. But I don't think Kurosawa makes hilarious films. So maybe when I adapt it into a stage play, I will make that happen.
I think there was a sense of humor to this movie.
There definitely was. Yeah.
The shot
was like hilarious, though.
Yeah. The shot at the very end of the kidnapper like popping his head out of the bushes with like his sunglasses on at like the junkie's house. Like I kind of giggled at. I definitely think there were like moments like, and I think honestly sometimes the staging of it is funny, like the way like all the cops are like kind of cramped into the car as they're like kind of tailing this guy, and like you know, whenever the guy was like sitting at the bar with his sunglasses on, you see all the other guys kind of like, and then as soon as they all like, you know, in uniform, like
and there was
around.
a moment when the bald guy, the older bald guy,
Boston.
they were like, who's gonna go undercover? Like, not you, because you'll never not look like a cop.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
you'd have to get plastic surgery to not look like a cop or something. Yeah, I think most of I thought there was a lot of humor in it, and I think a lot of it was primarily from that Boston character. Just like little jabs like that or whatever, or like stuff that he said. Like even the stuff like, you know, I don't give a shit about the rich or whatever.
Yeah,
know?
Yeah.
There's like, you know, commentary in that, but also it's like, you know, there's humor in it too. I know I've gotten through all my notes, but I know I'm like skimming the synopsis.
Something that I kept thinking about was like the morals of Gondo, and it made me think of Ikiru with like how he was so set in the way that he wanted to design shoes and do it in like a way that he could be proud of. And it just like those values really reminded me of Ikiru and like the part and just wanting to do the right thing even though it wasn't as lucrative or it wouldn't, you know, benefit his peers. But it was like the right thing to do, and then eventually he makes that decision
about
paying. Yeah, about the kid.
Yeah, that is interesting, because in that very beginning meeting, when the guys are basically trying to convince him to like, look, we can buy out the old man and we can do this, we can make shoes at such a cheaper price. And yeah, he is like a real stickler about that. It's like yeah, but like the quality is gonna be terrible. Like they won't last very long. Like who cares if it's cheap? You know, we're not doing the right thing, which is kind of an interesting contrast to the point when it's like when it comes to like a human being's life on the line. He's like, well, it's not my kid. Like, what? I shouldn't have to do this. This is my life's work.
Yeah.
Kind of going back to like the themes, and we mentioned this before, themes of the movie, but just something I want to add to it.
Sure.
It's interesting. Interesting is a non-word, but it's just, you know, kind of thing that makes you go, that like basically all movies that have this like class consciousness like theme of like, you know, like the rich versus the poor. I feel like a lot of the ones I've seen, like even Parasite to an extent, this movie, other movies we mentioned before, hint hint Nick, are like very class conscious, but they are still like at the end it's like, but don't you feel bad for the rich person in the end? You know what I mean? Or like maybe not Parasite too much, but it's like there's always like some like sympathetic or empathetic angle for like the rich person, which is fine. I'm not going to get too red here.
People,
I know they're still people. I know they're still people. I'm not sharpening my guillotine yet.
I mean, yeah, the rich guy in Parasite literally dies.
It's pretty brutal.
You can feel a little bad for him.
I do, but I'm just saying that it's just very interesting.
Well,
it always ends up being the end theme. It's like, yeah, they're poor, but you know,
go outside,
feelings.
Drink water, you know.
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess I do think that is part of it, is that I don't think it's necessarily like an endorsement of either sort of like being poor or being rich, but I think it's like it's messy, and I think that's the thing that I think a lot of people didn't pick up on with Parasite, was that like you can be what
Just like you said, endorsing like being poor or being rich. Like, well, I don't think anybody wants to be poor.
Yeah, yeah. Maybe in like a starving artist, like Inside Llewellyn Davis kind of way, where you're like, oh, it's this.
Or Rent.
Yeah.
Oh, where's Moose? Get him going on Rent.
Yeah.
Hey, wait.
Into the Wild also.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
I mean, a little bit. I have to.
But it's like it's messy. It's messy. It's complicated, which I appreciate. It makes you think about it.
Yeah.
Wait, what were you hinting at? You said my name. What else were you hinting at?
Me? Oh,
Batman.
The Batman.
Oh, yes. Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Just because this is kind of like what Zodiac was like last week, where it was just like we didn't have much to say although there is more. I think they were saying like with all this commentary and stuff, but like a lot of the conversation is just like, this is great, this is great, this is great too. The one sequence, and it wasn't like any particular moment of it, but like one that like it was probably the one that I was like the least kind of, I don't know, the least like engage. I don't even want to say engaged by, because it's the climax pretty much. Like it's tough because like of course this is what it's all building to. I just thought it went on a little bit too long for me. Okay. There was a little bit too much of like, but there were like great moments and still great, like when they're in the bar. Yeah, that was really cool. Mm-hmm. And he's standing there, like there was still like all these little moments. It was weird because it wasn't like there was any one particular moment that I was like not engaged by, I guess, which is why I didn't want to use that word before. But it was just like when it got to like the end where they actually captured him, I was like, that feels like that was like 15 minutes long, and I don't know if it needed to be quite that long. And that was just kind of the feeling I got. But yeah, there's a lot of like great moments in there. I also loved that moment where he's just like standing. It's right after he gets the flowers, and then he sees Gondo and just has him light his cigarette for him. Like, oh shit. Yeah. Yeah, and he like really starts to follow him, and then he's just like, no, I won't. that was really good.
I also really liked the part where they were kind of tailing him through the like the dopers alley or whatever they called it. It felt like a zombie movie, the way that all like the drug addicts kind of like stood up and kind of like,
oh yeah,
and then like there was,
I like that because like I feel like you don't see like in movies this old, they don't really touch on that kind of. They just kind of like pretend that stuff didn't exist back then. You know, they're like that. No, drugs didn't exist until like the 80s. You know,
right. When they were like, yeah, they died of heroin. I was like, oh shit, okay.
Yeah.
That surprised me too. Have you either? Go ahead.
I have not done heroin.
Not yet.
Just kidding. What I noticed about like the drug use being like tied to the source being tied to that club, and that club being completely full of Americans was really jarring. And like it's weird seeing that because I've seen a lot of like Latin American film, and like whenever America comes up, it's not always in the best light.
Yeah.
And so like seeing the kind of like colonial like influence, like, oh yeah, a bunch of rowdy sailors come into Yokohama all the time and buy a bunch of drugs, and now we have like a drug market.
Right.
I was like, oh.
Now that the Americans are here, we have the purest heroin on the market.
So pure, it murders people.
Yeah. Our most hardened junkies can't handle it.
Yeah.
Have either of you watched The Gilded Age? Probably not.
No.
I'm not sure what that is. No.
The Gilded Age is an HBO show written by the guy who wrote Downton Abbey.
Downton Abbey. I did watch Downton Abbey. Downton Abbey's pretty good.
I really like the Gilded Age. A lot of people say it's pretty cheesy, and I guess it might be, but I really enjoyed it. But
that's kind of how I feel about Downton Abbey. It is pretty cheesy as hell, but I still like it.
There's a quote from there that like a guy like kind of did what Gondo did. He put up his house and basically all his possessions to. It doesn't really matter, but he says in it, "I'm in so deep that I cannot see the sky." When someone asks, "How much money did you put on, like, shorting the stock?" is what he did, and that's what I thought of Gondo.
Oh, okay. Another little like one-off note that I had was that I wanted to see more of the train guy. He was one of my favorite parts of the whole movie. When they're, or I guess the trolley guy, when they hear on the phone like, "Oh, do you hear that? That's a trolley. There's like a few different kinds of trolleys. We need to talk to him."
He's like,
and
"No,
then he's like,
this kind of trolley makes this kind of sound."
Yeah, and he's like, he was really good at it. I was like, yeah, that's kind of how it sounds on the recording. He's like, this one goes like, choo choo, and then he's like going around the room going like, this one has one rail, so it goes like this.
しかもね、この車輪の間隔が短いでしょ。だからガーガタンガーなんて言わねえ。ガタトンガタトンガタトンガタトンガタトンガタトンってくるさ。どうもありがとう。はい。
Oh, so that reminded me. I have a note in here that says Law and Order vibes, and I was like, is this the whole thing? And I'm like, no. What is the Law and Order vibes? Is that the guy at the like recycling plant or the garbage dump who's like just doing work? Like, I don't know that.
Oh my god,
yeah, people come in all the time.
You can't burn
I don't pay
tin.
attention.
Holy shit!
Just talking fast and throwing stuff away, like very Law and Order.
Yeah, very minor characters like that felt very fleshed out. Like I feel like you knew all about them in like their very, very brief time on camera.
Yeah. I guess I'd be remiss to mention. I mean, amongst everybody else, I thought that the cast was pretty good all around. But I'd be remiss to not mention one of my favorite actors of all time, Toshiro Mifune. I just thought he was really great in the roughly half of the movie that he was in. I love the way that I mean, I've only ever seen it, and I think this is just kind of his sort of his niche is these like troubled characters in this way, be it Gondo, be it Kikuchiyo, be it Macbeth. I forgot his name in Throne of Blood, but he plays Macbeth.
Show, we care.
And and he's like Kurosawa. He's never failed to just like really wow me with the way that he's able to level those feelings of, because like on a surface level, and I'm not saying that like this absolves him of his like unwillingness to not let a kid die or whatever, but I feel like at the hands of a lesser actor, it would be it's a tough role to play, like that kind of character, especially with that where he ends up at the end of it. Like you do kind of like sympathetic for him because he has that arc, and I don't think you would get that if you didn't like see and feel his conflict. Like, of course it's extremely selfish for him to like not want to pay the ransom, but you can kind of empathize with it, just like from his point of view, in a sense. If I'm saying that right, empathize, sympathize.
Yes. Well, sympathize is you don't. Sympathize is like, I've never been there, but I get it, and empathize is like, I've been there and I get it.
Okay, I mean sympathize then, not empathize. Yeah. And I think that's you can sense
Mhm.
the conflict in him. Like he's saying all that stuff, but even when he's like, I don't care, let him die. You can still sense that,
He
and
clearly
that's why
cares.
Yeah.
He's trying to convince himself that
that he doesn't care.
that
he's
he can't
trying to
throw
be
away
on
his
that
future.
He's trying to be on that Sigma grind set, but he can't.
So I have. Oh, go ahead.
No, that was pretty much it.
Well, kind of going off of that, if we wanna go here, we don't have to go here. If there were to be an American remake of this movie, or if there was a stage play version, who would be your American dream cast? Not like not the Sega, but
Toshiro Mifune as Gondo. That's a good question.
Jake Gyllenhaal, Robert Downey Jr., and Mark Ruffalo.
There we go. The kidnapper can be fucking Paul Dano or Robert Pattinson.
Yeah.
No. The kidnapper could be I forget his name. He's that scumbag kid that's in Get Out. He's in Twin Peaks: The Return. Caleb Landry. Yes.
Yeah.
That kid
could be
perfect.
Good. He'd be
the one who looks like Jesse Plemons. No.
He's
no. Maybe I'm just thinking Jesse Plemons. No.
That's a good one. I feel like Jesse Plemons could play someone. Jesse Plemons would be a good cast as someone in this. I don't know who.
Yeah. You know who would play a good Gondo? Since you mentioned Jesse Plemons, is Philip Seymour Hoffman. I think he would have been good.
Oh, yep.
But
my note is this could be a stage play. Keep the names, but whitewash it. Jeff Bridges as Gondo. Just kidding. That's what my note says.
I feel like Bryan Cranston could fit in here too somewhere. Let's just cast all of Breaking Bad.
Like the police, like the head of police, not the bald one.
Takashi Shimura's. Oh, you mean the lead investigator guy?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It could be like oh my god, who was this?
John Carroll Lynch as Boston.
I was gonna say Dave Bautista.
Michael Chiklis.
Michael Chiklis is who I first thought of, actually. I'm just thinking of bald people. How about
Dwayne The Rock Johnson?
Yeah. How about Hank Schrader?
What's your nightmare cast for this? Have you ever seen on TikTok where people do nightmare casts of stuff?
Wait, James, did you have anybody for like?
Did you have for your dream cast?
You guys said like 3 names that I really liked, and now they're.
Yeah, Bryan Cranston actually would be good as Boston. I think
Robert Pattinson, I thought, would do a really good
lead investigator.
Nightmare cast is
the bad guy.
As Kevin James as Boston.
Well, then that just then you have the obvious lead in with Adam Sandler as Gondo. Who?
Don't hit my son.
Shabadoo.
Who's Rob Schneider? Rob Schneider's Aoki.
Because he literally is Adam Sandler's Aoki.
Oh yeah, he's been training his whole life for this role.
And then I don't know, Shinichi can be like the yodeling Walmart kid or something.
That's good.
And if this is like an Adam Sandler, if this was a Happy Madison production of High and Low, the wife, even though she doesn't have very many speaking roles, would be like some incredibly hot out of Adam Sandler's league woman,
like Salma Hayek or
or Kate Beckinsale.
Yeah. I like all those. I almost went no. I can't think of anybody for like the kidnapper for that one though.
It would be probably someone like, you know how in Adam Sandler movies like sometimes they'll have the occasional like professional athlete or like someone who is like famous or like like in Wedding Singer, like Billy Idol is literally in it.
Billy Idol is the kidnapper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I'm not someone who's not a bad actor but just would not fit in that role. I'm like Owen Wilson. As the kidnapper.
I'm still trying to like kind of go a little in the
kid,
frame
that's
of
Mount
reference.
Fuji.
Like it's got to be like a younger guy who like kind of fits that, like is sort of in the same zone, but like just wouldn't be a good pick. Like
someone who might actually get casted, but would definitely ruin the role. Okay,
the dude they got
Oh,
casted
and ruin
in
the
that.
role? I was gonna say Harry Styles, but I don't know if he'd ruin it.
No, I mean, I've only seen him. Yeah,
what was that 30-year-old dude that got casted in his Dear Evan Hansen? That guy.
Oh my
god! No, Ben Platt. That's Ben Platt.
That's better than mine. I was gonna say Noah Centineo. That was mine.
Oh my god!
So either one of those.
Oh, wait, hold on. Noah Centineo. Oh, who is this kid?
He's been in a lot of those like
To All the Boys I Loved Before, and he's pretty like I don't know. He's like the it boy right now. He's like in every Netflix movie. None of which I've seen.
I googled him. As people also ask, is Noah Centineo Italian or is Noah Centineo rich?
Probably.
Oh man, he looks like Pete Davidson in Training. His Wikipedia picture, he looks like.
There you go. There's the lead investigator.
Pete Davidson.
Oh, Jesus.
What, you're not gonna pay for the kid?
Seems pretty fucked up.
They just blow his face off again.
As we're speaking, well, he's, I was gonna say, and I'm kind of stealing this from Kalia because she was the one who made the reference when we were watching it, but the American cast Gondo could be played by Robert Goulet because
the mustache.
Yeah. If they wanted to just cast somebody to like look just like him.
Oh yeah,
because she just said that Toshiro had like big Robert Goulet vibes in the movie, and I was like, "Yep."
And you know what's funny is the only thing that I know Robert Goulet from is that
it's the Will Ferrell SNL skit. That's me.
That's me too.
Robert Goulet.
He was the singing voice of the kid from Recess.
Oh,
really?
Yeah.
Okay.
There was like the kind of tall, awkward, chubby kid that like secretly was a really good singer. Yeah. Robert Goulet was the singing voice for that character.
Okay.
Like, it's so insane that it's infinitely more likely that you don't know who the person is than you go, oh, the singing voice of that one character from the Recess.
The Disney Channel Saturday morning cartoon.
Yeah,
and it's Robert Goulet.
Yeah, that's not even. That's what I know him from.
It's not even like, is it Chris Kirkpatrick doing the voice of Chip Skylar from Fairly Odd Parents? And that's kind of like, okay, a kid who watches Fairly Odd Parents would maybe know who Chris Kirkpatrick is because they might know what.
There was some overlap there. I was a huge NSYNC fan, and I was like. No. Young enough / old enough to be also a fan of Fairly Odd Parents, like right after my NSYNC phase. So yeah,
that's my point. I'm saying there's more of an overlap between Fairly Odd Parents fans and NSYNC fans than there are Recess fans and Robert Goulet fans.
Yeah. Well, I think what it was is like for some reason I had the Recess Schools Out soundtrack on CD, and I remember, I remember like looking at it and being like, oh, Robert Goulet, I like his voice as like a 6th grader. I'm like, yeah, that guy's got a cool voice. And then I was like, I'm never gonna learn anything else about that guy.
You can cut this of me asking. Do you guys have a TikTok?
Yeah, we do.
Does There Will Be Duds have a TikTok?
Yeah. Right. Yeah. I thought that's
you do.
Yeah.
You should post your nightmare cast on there. It'd be very funny for a niche set of people, but still
that's
funny.
Not bad.
It's not terrible.
Yeah, for high and low, that would be extremely niche. I like this though. If we ever have like extra time in our movie chat like this one, like
that's a good prompt.
I really like doing like
nightmare cast, dreamcast.
Yeah,
that's a good prompt.
Sega, don't sue us, Sega.
Yeah. Yeah, I think he just posted like a couple clips. If you followed the Instagram, I know a lot of it is just those like audio clip, like text to speech things I've done, but Nick did do like one or two like actual like video clip like TikToks and stuff.
Yeah.
Well, like the last like 3 podcasts that I started following, the reason why I started following them is because of TikTok. Like
Yeah, that I know that's like one of the biggest things right now for growth is to have like a TikTok presence. It's just tough being like basically like TJ and I kind of doing the back end of everything. It's tough. I mean, once you kind of know what you want to edit, it's actually not that bad. It's just finding the stuff, and then Adobe Premiere actually has like auto-generated captions for it, so I can just like run it through, and it'll like basically give me a transcription, and I can correct whatever needs to be corrected, but it's like pretty accurate.
Yeah. But we're not gonna cut this like free shilling for our TikTok.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah. If you had one, well, I didn't want to make you sound like old. Like, do you guys have a TikTok? Have you heard about this clock app?
Yeah, right.
Coming back down, was there anything else we had that we wanted to touch on, or are we good to move on to our scores? If there is, just if you had any notes or anything else.
I just have stupid jokes in my notes, so just like National Shoes is canceled, and that joke is... And what's another stupid joke I wrote?
I did say that Toshiro Mifune can make anything sound intense, even shoe manufacturing. He's like, look at this insole is not tampered down correctly.
What's hilarious is like that's how women's shoes are made now. Like that's the way they're made. Like we have like
the way that he
cardboard soles
that he was shitting on. He's like, no, you can't. This is our cardboard, and this is like this thing. It'll be gone in a month. I'm like, that's the way my shoes are made now. Well, at least the ones I buy from cheap places. But
it's because Gondo wasn't able to take over National Shoes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
One thing I did note was just a random thing is like for some reason, and this is probably a me problem, and it might just be the way it kind of like wiggles a little bit. There's something ominous about like title cards and production cards from the 1950s to the 1960s. I don't know what it is, but they like make me uncomfortable to look at. I don't know.
You mean because they just like layer them over the actual shot so they don't like stay completely still?
Yeah.
Is that what you mean?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was like that.
I don't know.
That's more like a novelty that I actually really enjoy of older movies. But I could see how that like could have the opposite effect.
Yeah, those are like those are the jokes I made. That's it. I just made some jokes.
Okay. Like Amy Schumer being like, "Oh, the slap didn't let me tell the jokes I wanted to tell at the Oscars." Okay, scores?
Yeah.
Now that we veered off again.
I'm mulling it over. You have a score?
I got mine.
Well, you have yours?
I got mine. Well, no. Me and Nick can go first, I guess, or one of us can go first, and because we do usually kind of do like a little spiel, a little preamble. So go ahead, Nick.
Yeah. So this is the second Kurosawa movie that I've seen apart from Ikiru. I haven't seen anything else. I think the only movies of his I've seen are like his 2 contemporary ones. Ikiru's contemporary.
Oh man, you throw that into it because James and I have like a spreadsheet of like all these really great movies that we've seen and what we rated it. And I'm like basing it on that. I'm like, okay, do I like it more than this movie or do I like it less than this movie? You putting it in the frame of comparing it to another Kurosawa film. I'm like, oh no, I've only seen one other one and it was Seven Samurai backwards.
Yeah. Next Criterion sale. I'm gonna pick it up.
Just write it backwards.
I do have Yojimbo. I did pick that one up on Criterion, like during one of the sales. But like we said earlier, I thought cinematically it was gorgeous. The blocking, the staging, every little set piece was great. The subversion of expectations, I thought it was very thoughtful in like how it did its scenes and how long it knew right, when to hold and when to get out, I guess. And I thought the performances were great. I wish I'd seen more Kurosawa movies so I could have been like, oh, there's that guy. Oh, there's that guy, But for me, I'm sitting at a very strong 9 for this.
Nice. I can go, or do one of you guys want to go?
I can go. So yeah, a lot of the same stuff. Just absolutely gorgeously shot and directed. The plot was fantastic. I like all of the dilemmas that all the characters face, and then the final conversation. Really, it didn't give like the closure I was expecting, but it gave the ending that I think was ultimately like most satisfying as a viewer, that like it lets you explore everything that had happened up to that point in the movie again and just like reflect on it, and that was a really cool experience. The only things that I don't really like about the movie are the kind of things that make it feel dated. Some of the
black and white.
No, like
old cars.
Okay, I was gonna bring this up earlier when we were talking about the acting, but
Okay.
there's this thing that like actors around this time do, whereas they do one emotion, and then a character talks to them, and they like kind of break out of it, and they're like, oh yeah, what? And it's like, yeah, no, sometimes somebody talks to you, and you're like, it's like you wake up out of your thoughts, but it's like every time somebody else talks to you, it happens. I don't know. And those kind of reactions bug me a little bit, and some of the transitions between scenes were a little jarring. Like, these are really small nitpicks. I still loved it.
Sure.
I'm gonna go 8.5.
0.5. Nice.
There were a lot of wipes. A lot of wipes.
A lot of wipes. I noticed that too.
I don't know what else to add to like what you guys have said and what we all said before. It's just yet another feather in the cap of like probably my favorite director of all time. It's one of those where like I don't have any major faults other than like that weird feeling I had with like the like climax chase scene. I would say that like I don't the like acting thing that you're talking about, like I 100% recognize it, but I think I can like take these as products of their times. So I don't know, I roll with it. I like that stuff. I like the dated like that was brought up when we did East of Eden, because there's some really melodramatic acting in that movie, but I just think that's kind of like how movies were back then. So I just like, yeah, I like it. I like the over the top, like that kind of stuff.
I think of Harvey as well. I feel like the sister character in Harvey was like freaking out.
Yeah, like all the time. But yeah, I'm right there with you guys. I almost went with an 8.5 too, but I'm trying to stick to solid numbers now. Not and you can. I don't give a shit.
Or 0.7.
It's just something I'm trying to do. So with that in mind, I'm also gonna go with a 9. Pretty solid 9. It's great. There's nothing like, other than that climax, it's like there's nothing super major. It's just, it's definitely not a 10. And that could just be my weird aversion to like
10s.
I very rarely give like a new movie a 10, right? So, but yeah, it was fantastic. It was really great.
For me, just pretty much everything you guys said. If I compared it to the other Kurosawa film I saw, which is Seven Samurai,
it's not as good as Seven Samurai.
It's not as good as Seven Samurai, but Seven Samurai is so long. It's so long that
not as good as my favorite movie of all time.
It's not as good as Seven Samurai. It's really not. But what it does beat out Seven Samurai in is length. I was like, when I heard we were watching a Kurosawa film, I was like, oh crap, we're gonna be up till midnight. And I was like, oh, 144 minutes. That's not that bad. That's doable. But I think, I'm going to go with like looking at like some of my past like great movies that I've ranked. Some of them I don't know if what I was doing when I rated these. Like I'm looking at All Quiet on the Western Front, which I rated an 8.6. I'm like, I don't know about that. But I would say it's a 8.6. I would give it 8.6, 8.7. But I really enjoyed it. Not as good as Seven Samurai, but that's hard. It's like that's one of the best movies of all time. It's a little long, but the Seven Samurai is not this movie. This movie's good length. But yeah, I liked it. Loved it even.
Nice. Yeah, I was gonna say this is a rebuttal, but it's not. It's just showing how, I don't know, stupid I am. But you're talking about it's funny, like talking about the length of Seven Samurai in particular, because I have on not just one occasion, I have watched Seven Samurai twice in
a row.
One day, yeah, right in a row, because I just love that movie so much.
It's a good one. It is definitely good. It has all, not to make this a Seven Samurai podcast, but it has like everything you would want in a movie. It's touching, it's funny, it's hopeful, it's everything. So yeah, it's a good choice for a favorite movie. So
that's what my note said. It's like go watch Seven Samurai.
If you take one thing away from this recording,
it says Yagasum is backwards. You gotta read it backwards.
I was gonna wear my Seven Samurai shirt for this, but I wore it to work. So one, I was really sweaty, and two, I had to use this really intense drain cleaner to clean out our shower drain, and it was so intense that I noticed I got some on my shirt.
Aww.
And there is now like a big hole in the side because it burned through the shirt. Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay, one more time, because you mentioned her before. Who's that woman?
Who? What?
The woman, the picture of the woman in your background.
Okay, well, since you've now followed the show, you should I guess to kind of
is she from Megan is Missing?
No, from
Bedeviled.
I need to listen to that one. She's from what?
Bedeviled.
Oh,
that's
she's
the one
cute.
you have to watch. And then I got that because we did a Christmas episode where we all met up in person and we did like a gift exchange, and that was what Travis got me. A signed headshot of
signed headshot. Is Bedeviled anything like Bedazzled? No. Okay.
It is generic horror movie.
Up until recently, it was like the most hated movie that has ever been on this podcast.
Yeah, that's true.
So what was the most recent one that you guys
Prophet.
hated?
A Prophet, which was supposed to be, which was recommended as a good movie. But both me and Travis,
I have never seen them hate a movie more. It was such a visceral hatred for a movie that I thought was okay.
maybe Cat. Oh, for one that you thought was okay.
Yeah.
Cats though is like, I've watched Cats and it is awful. It really is, but it is so awful that it is a sight to behold how bad it is. It is like almost interesting how something could fail on so many levels, but it has so much money behind it. It already has a following,
yeah.
I would 1,000% watch Cats before I watch A Prophet again, for sure. Okay, so
we actually saw Cats live, like not even that long ago, in November.
I mean, seeing a stage performance would be, I'd go to that. That'd be fun.
That's the thing, is that what the movie Cats totally like farted on is that one of the cool things about Cats is the makeup and the costume, and making it CGI doesn't make sense. That doesn't make any sense. But...
Yeah.
Speaking of farting on the audience, here's an ad break.
Nice.
We're back.
I'm thinking we're back.
Oh.
I'm thinking we're back.
Well, huh? Oh, sorry.
I thought Nick was gonna go first.
Oh, okay.
One quick thing. It's I don't know if you guys have seen this or if you're a particular fan of his work. I know TJ is to some extent, but there are rumors that seem to be coming to be true that there is a new untitled David Lynch film that is going to be premiered at Cannes.
Yeah.
with Laura Dern. It's something that's been apparently very tight-lipped. There was like some sort of like untitled David Lynch project that I think he was working on pre-COVID called Wisteria or something like that. People weren't sure if it was going to be a new TV show or if it was going to be a new film, but there are these rumors that seem to be getting closer and closer to being confirmed that there's going to be a new David Lynch movie, which is exciting because the last thing he's done is Inland Empire from 2006. Which that is also probably about to be released on Criterion because there's like a new restoration of it that's been worked on, which apparently is pretty controversial as well because Inland Empire was shot on like the 480 like DV cams, and like they're upscaling it to look more, I guess, closer to 4K, and like people are like, but is that like the true vision of what the movie's supposed to look like? Because it was done on this like primitive form. But like David Lynch is helming the restoration, so it's like it's his movie. So like I don't know, you gonna argue with him? Like sure, just don't buy it then.
Yeah, yes, yeah.
And then I think new Cronenberg too. I think there's like a new David Cronenberg
That's
movie.
That's actually what I thought you were going to say.
Two Davids.
You were like leading into it. Yeah, two Davids. Yeah, his new Crimes of the Future. Because it was like I don't know if it was a trailer or just like images, but I just saw a thing that like the first look at Cronenberg's new movie, which not as long of a gap as Inland Empire, but his last one was Maps to the Stars, which was like 2013, 2014. So it's been a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah. So
that's exciting. And then I saw a movie two days ago now.
Yeah, I thought you were going to bring this up.
Yeah, I saw Everything Everywhere All at Once, and it was great. It was fantastic.
Okay. What's that again? Who's the
Daniels?
People, who's the things?
Daniels are directing it.
Yeah, and the Russo brothers were involved too, which
interesting.
When you see some of the cinematics and the action set pieces, it's very Russo brothers. In a good way.
Which is funny to say because for a long time you didn't associate those guys with like big action set pieces. You associated
with
them
Community.
With Arrested Development and Community.
Yeah, such a weird launching pad that their careers took. Jamie Lee Curtis in this movie is great. She does a lot of physical comedy, and I mean a lot of physical comedy. Like she gets the shit kicked out of her quite a bit, which is interesting.
Sweet.
Because I don't know if you guys know the premise. I don't know. All I'll say is like it's like a multiverse movie, sort of. But like I don't even think I watched a trailer going into it. I didn't really know much about it at all, and I think that's like the best way to go into it is because it's a little exposition dumpy at times. The main woman's husband is played by the kid from Indiana Jones in his first acting role since Indiana Jones.
Oh yeah, I heard of
River Phoenix.
No.
No,
the little Asian kid.
Wait, Short
Round?
Round?
Short Round.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
You look at his IMDb and it's Indiana Jones, nothing this movie.
Whoa.
And like his voice is still kind of high pitched. Like once you know that that's who it is, you're like, oh, okay, I can hear that. Like his voice is very like. And then the main woman is from like Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. Like,
oh yeah, Michelle Yeoh. She's pretty well known.
But
I think.
Everyone in it is great. It's like it's really funny. It's like I don't know. I feel like a lot of comedies these days. It's hard to get me to laugh at them. But the way that this movie does it is so fantastic, and the action set pieces are great. Go see that movie. Go into it as blind as possible too.
I have seen the trailer, but I was not planning on watching anything else. Yeah, I mentioned it to Kalia. She said she needs to watch the trailer again before she knows if she wants to see it. But I was like, if she doesn't go see it, I'm just gonna go see it by myself afterward. It did like really like draw me in, just like all the like crazy shit, because they're like, I wasn't like over the moon about Swiss Army Man. I thought it was okay, but I love the the Daniel's style.
If
the like wacky, all the practical effecty stuff, like.
If Swiss Army Man had came out when I was 16 years old, it would have been my favorite movie.
Yeah,
but it didn't.
Yeah,
I was like in my mid-20s when it came out, so it's not. And it's honestly, unfortunately, a little forgettable. But I mean, if that movie could be forgettable, I just remembered it was weird.
It's one of those movies where you remember all of the things from the trailer because the best parts of that movie were all in the trailer.
Yeah, that was part of it. Yeah. Daniel Scheinert, so just Daniel, did The Death of Dick Long. The Death of Dick Long, which I liked. I like that one quite a bit. That one also, I would say, like, go into it knowing less about it because it does take a few wild turns. It's more normal. There's none of that sort of wacky special effects stuff. It's pretty much just like a straightforward like dramedy, but the story just it takes some wild turns that you're not really expecting at first, and it's pretty funny. But I it's funny because I was just talking with James about them like last week because I was like telling him about some of their music videos because that's what they have some of my favorite music videos are directed by them. The Tongues by Joywave is the one that I pointed out to James is one of my favorite music videos ever. It's so cool. It's really cool. They also did I forgot to mention this to you. They also did the Turn Down for What music video. If you guys have seen that one, that's a pretty great music video too. But yeah, they're great. They're like short films of theirs, so it's like the ultimate. It's like all I want from them because that's what I loved of Swiss Army Man was all the like fun, practical, effecty type stuff, and that's all their music videos is like that stuff in little bite-sized pieces. To mostly songs that I enjoy, I guess. Some of them aren't my cup of tea, I guess, but yeah. Okay, you guys go ahead now.
What you guys got?
If you want.
Well, geez, like I mentioned before, the season has ended. Season 1 has ended, but we have been absolutely wrapped up in Severance this week. We got last week. If you have Apple TV Plus, or if don't sue me, Apple, if you can find it online somewhere, give it a watch because it is an absolute ride. Like the fervor with which I devoured this TV show, would get on its subreddit and like look up like theories and look up stuff. I have not felt that way about a TV show. I don't even remember the last time I felt that way. I don't want to say unfortunately. I've never seen Lost, never seen it, but with the way that its fans interact with this show and talk about it, and just that, for better or worse, that's the vibe it gives me. So I hope it doesn't like fall off, like whatever at the end of it, whenever it ends. But it is great right now.
It's J.J. Abrams and Damon Lindelof in like the Groucho Marx glasses with the fake mustache.
It's directed by Ben Stiller.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Oh, I've seen this picture of Adam Scott before. Yeah.
You should watch it. Like all of the promotional material I've seen for it, especially because of like the Apple TV tag that's on all of them, is like, oh, okay.
It's kind of a kiss of death, really.
Yeah, I don't need it. But like, no, Charlie's right. It's like that first season of Lost, but like there are satisfying answers. Like it's not just like mystery all the time.
No, there are some loose ends tied up by the end of season 1 miraculously.
It is you might have said this, but it is continuing, right? Or like that's
they just got renewed for season 2 like last week. Like as soon as they ended season 1, they got renewed for season 2.
So give us like a brief and like what you said to me last week, James.
Yeah.
Like so no more than that, I guess.
There is a company called Lumen, and they have pioneered this system where workers can opt into a program where they sever their memory so that when they walk into work, it's like a switch flips.
Yeah.
And they lose all their memories of outside of work and gain all their memories from inside of work. And so you have your outside personality,
your outie,
which is what they refer to it as. And then you walk in and you basically become like this other version of yourself. And it shows both sides of that, and it's really good.
Does it play with like, so are each of the characters like completely different personalities, like in and out of work, kind of, or
not really?
Not completely different, but like I would say
they have
I would say like their innie has like dampened versions of their like dampened facets of their outie's personality and vice versa. And so
the relationship between the two personalities is one of the most satisfying things to kind of pull apart. So I don't want to go into it too much.
That's cool.
But each character has I'm not going to go into it. You should watch it.
Definitely watch it. We've also, you mentioned before, we've been watching Winning Time.
Oh yeah.
Which is I think the first couple episodes were directed by Adam McKay, and I think it's produced
I know he's
by
like
Adam McKay.
Yeah.
And it's stellar cast. John C. Reilly is in it. Jason Segel is in it a little bit. Adrian Brody is in it. A lot of the guys who have been playing the basketball players are, I wouldn't say unknowns, but this is like their first big role.
But they're all good. Jason Clarke is the coach of the Lakers, and he's one of my favorite characters because he's always pissed off.
Sweet. I like Jason Clarke, so that's good.
Okay, yeah, he's great in it.
This is a fun game called, you guys should play a game called like Name Me a Thing, and like I have to figure out if it's the name of a show on a streaming service or not, because some of the names of these shows, you're like Winning Time, and I was like,
I don't like the name.
Winning Time, I tell people every time I suggest it, I'm like, I hope you remember this because I love the show and I never remember the name of it. So
because I definitely fall into that category where if it's like that's a dumb name, I'm probably not. Like there's so many shows out now, but I'm just like, you're making all these names up. These cannot all be shows that are existing at the same time.
I think we only watched it because obviously the name does not grab your attention, but like we have HBO Max, and it was like it had like, you know, if you have HBO Max, like it'll sometimes like if you linger too long on something, it'll like show a trailer or a preview of it. We did that with Winning Time, and it was like, we're like, oh my god, that looked good. So we started watching it.
Also, I like Magic Johnson because he went to MSU. And...
another show that we haven't been quite as wrapped up in, but it's still kind of cute, it's called Minx. That's also on HBO Max.
Oh yeah, I saw a trailer for that one too. Yeah,
it's about a women's nudie magazine, so it has nude men in it. And within, like, between the centerfolds of New Men is, like, articles on feminism and birth control and all that good stuff. It takes place in the 70s. Jake
Busey.
Nope, Jake something. He's on New Girl.
Jake Johnson.
That's who I thought you were. That's actually,
Jake Johnson is in it, and he's pretty good. And I mean, he's Jake Johnson, so...
oh yeah, these are all new. Holy shit! Some of these episodes aren't even out yet.
Yeah.
Like I said, I've been really like a TV junkie lately. We've just been watching every night. We're like, this is the Gilded Age night, and this is the Winning Time night, and then this is the Minx night. This is the Severance night, but now Severance is done and Gilded Age is done. So now we're down to just Winning Time and Minx. So.
Well, we literally have the series finale of The Sopranos left, and then that stranglehold is done. And I can only assume that everyone at the end of The Sopranos is gonna live happily ever after, and nothing bad is gonna happen to literally every character in the show.
You said you don't know the ending, right? You've avoided.
I know what happens at the end because it was like one of those things that like was impossible to not hear about.
Okay, I was gonna say that's some like really holding yourself to a standard, avoiding spoilers, because I know nothing about The Sopranos, and I have seen the ending.
I've had way too. I've had so many things spoiled for me for The Sopranos, just purely based on like YouTube algorithm. Like, like so and so gets whacked. I'm like, cool. I guess I know that now. Like, thanks YouTube algorithm. Because I mean, it's one of those shows that's been around long enough that like, it's like Fight Club. Like it's cultural zeitgeist now that so and so.
It's your fault if you haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, pretty much. And like, I take my lashes. It's still a great show. I'm still like in love with it.
I will say, Kalia doesn't know the ending. She has somehow avoided it. Yeah. Which is another reason I'm like really wanting to like I don't know, I want to see how she reacts to it, just not knowing at all.
In non-video or non-movie or TV news, Elden Ring. It's really fucking good. It's really good. I'm like on the last boss, and it's everything people are saying about it. I don't know if you guys hear very much about it, but it's like it feels like a capstone to the Dark Souls movement of video games. And like, I don't know, I've watched like 3 think piece videos about it, or video essays, and they're all kind of like floating around this idea of like, we have no idea where they could go next, because they've crammed everything that you could put in one of these games into this.
Okay.
But it's really good.
Yeah. Kind of like, and I know that like a lot of people are comparing this to Breath of the Wild for other reasons, but like that is kind of like Breath of the Wild definitely feels like a capstone to like the Zelda game too. And like, not to say that I am not excited for Breath of the Wild 2, but it's like, what else are they gonna do? You know? And I don't know, maybe they will like surprise me and do something else. But like, and the sky levels that like they're bringing, like sky lofty area is cool, but and I'm not complaining for new areas in that Breath of the Wild world to explore, but
yeah, it seems like what they really have to do, and what I don't see them having a problem doing, is just basically more Sheikah Slate stuff that allows you to mess with like more physics-based things. Because I feel like that's what's given that game like a lot of staying power. I will see like every once in a while, I'll see like a new TikTok of someone just like, it'll be a video clip of someone beating 7 guardians in like, they'll like go into slow-mo, swap out their shields rapid pace and hit each shield perfect shot, and then just kills all 7 of them in one go. Like the stuff that people are still figuring out how to do with that game is insane.
Yeah. Ones that I've seen a couple of recently is like finding like the impossible chest, and it's like a chest that's for some reason placed like miles above the Gerudo Desert, and they use all these glitch hacks, like using bombs on yourself to like bounce yourself up like past the world height to get to this treasure chest. Just like this insane fucking shit. That probably is it. They gotta make Breath of the Wild 2 just has to be Gary's mod, pretty much. That's what they gotta do with it.
Yeah, what if they applied like Super Mario Maker rules to like an open world Zelda game? That would be crazy if they gave you the assets to just make one.
Yeah.
Oh, another thing we've been watching, guys, the gift reminded me, is I Think You Should Leave. We started watching that too.
Oh boy.
You just hit on I'll just say I think you'll get a lot more out of There Will Be Duds once you have watched all of I Think You Should Leave. That's probably the thing that we quote the most on the show. Like every episode there's at least something. Like we can't fucking help ourselves. That's a pretty great show.
I showed a couple episodes to my cousin, and she laughed at the hot dog one, but there was some where she was just like looking concerned. I'm like, it's funny.
Yeah, there was a couple. Mainly one in particular where we watched, and Leah was like, "That wasn't funny. That was just sad." And I was like, yeah, but it's funny too.
It's funny. I don't know. I think thus far the shirts with the complicated patterns.
I was just about
Dan
to say.
Flashes.
My favorite.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All of the
Because
shirts.
I like how he gets so defensive because he's like, you think the pattern on my shirt isn't complicated enough? Like, but he's
my favorite part of the like the whole payoff to that is like later on in the episode it does the commercial for Dan Flashes, and there's like the guys like running in there, and then they grab the shirt and they're holding it right up to their face and they're going like tracing the patterns with their faces.
I'm gonna send an image real quick, but every single, like almost once per episode, someone in The Sopranos will be wearing a shirt that looks like something out of Dan Flashes. Like without fail, someone is always wearing a shirt that just has like some insane pattern on it. I was like, where did you find that?
I was gonna say literally the only thing that I watched this last week, other than High and Low, was The Masked Singer. That's all I find time for, even when I'm the most busy. I'm waiting for Rudy to pop his ugly little goblin head out of a
Giuliani.
You know, yeah, out of a I don't know.
Who we got left?
Shouldn't be allowed.
Cyclops or
that
something.
really shouldn't be allowed.
Who we got? Yeah, who we got left?
Shouldn't.
Has anyone watching? I wanted to watch it and just never did. Has anyone been watching the American Song Contest, which is basically like American Eurovision?
Mm-mm.
I've not watched that. I've been wanting to watch it. I'm like so excited for it to come out, and I just never watched it. So.
No, I haven't seen that.
The Michigan representative is from Battle Creek.
Oh, cool.
Oh, interesting.
The songwriters/singers from every state.
I will say I'm not typically keyed into like music competition shows. It's just the Masked Singer has it's found its stranglehold.
Hold on, I don't mean to sound out of touch, but the Masked Singer, if you can last the longest without people guessing who you are, is that the goal? What's the goal?
No, it's literally just a singing competition. The whole like hidden identity thing is just like kind of it's like a bonus thing to make it more fun, I guess. Mm-hmm. So, but it's literally just a singing competition. So the people who make it the longest are the ones who sing the best, or like sometimes you'll see people who like don't necessarily have great voices, but they're like good performers while they're doing it. Those guys make it pretty far too. Yeah, the guessing game, it's just they have judges who are like, oh yeah, I think it's this based on this and this. And
do they have a list of people who they think it is, or is it a blind guess?
It's a complete blind guess.
So is it confirmed Rudy Giuliani is on this show?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay. So if you guys don't know about this, yeah, this was a reveal because there was a controversy that when he was revealed, Ken Jeong, who's one of the judges, walked off the stage because he was like insulted that he was.
Well, like, yeah, I'm insulted he's on the show, and I don't even watch it.
And you know what the worst? You know what the worst part is like you've been watching the show, and you may have unknowingly been like,
no,
yeah, to a Rudy Giuliani performance.
The only time I did that when I thought it was him was when the one guy did that Creed song, "My Sacrifice." That was one where I was like, I hope to fucking God that is Rudy Giuliani. That's him. But it wasn't. I think it was Cake Boss or something.
Cake Boss?
He was one of them.
You gotta have the YouTube epic bacon guy on like next season.
Yeah. Yeah.
Who are some other ones? I gotta know. This is just a motley crew of
like the people who have been. Jesus Christ, my voice. Okay. Like the people who have been the guests who have been like revealed this, or what do you mean?
Yes, the singers who have been revealed thus far.
Actually, this year so far, it hasn't been too many people that I know. But the last one was Penn and Teller, which was really interesting. And that was really cool because like when they had the masks on, like when they revealed themselves, Penn said that Teller was the one doing most of the singing. But of course, once they took their masks off, he didn't like talk or anything at all.
Cool.
And when they did sing, because they always do a final performance unmasked, they sing again. He just like covered his mouth and he had a hand puppet and he like saying through the puppet or whatever.
Awesome. That's funny.
I think The Masked Singer, like just thinking about it, is like one of the like
the last bastions.
Well, it's like one of the like most because this is this a purely American show? This seems very Japanese.
I'm pretty sure it originated in Korea.
Okay.
I think.
I was gonna say this is a bizarre show to have been originated and greenlit in America. Like it just doesn't seem like seeing competition, yes. All that get up doesn't seem like anything that an American would come up with on their own, right? So it makes sense that it was a Korean show first.
Yeah. Okay. As much as I would like to keep going, I'm sure we will be talking about The Masked Singer again on the show. That's okay. And I'm sure we're pushing our time now. But I don't know, should I do I'll do the cut pull and then we can do our,
Yeah.
Thanks for coming on bullshit or whatever. So next week is once again, I don't know how that one fell out. Is once again our dud week, so pulling from the dud cup.
He's not a dud.
No, he's not a but he's full of shit. So yeah, it's a bad movie. I guess for the audience we might be hopefully I think we're gonna be doing another in-person one again with some more guests because our normal co-hosts are gone and we are scrambling to find people. As evidenced by us having these two randos on this episode. So
we got to bring you down before we can bring you up.
Yeah. So for next week, it is. Oh, I think this will be a good one, especially if we do watch it in person. I don't have the year written down, but it's probably from like 2001. That's my guess. Directed by Robert Iskov. We're going to be watching From Justin to Kelly.
Hell yeah! That's a great pick.
Okay.
I've never seen this movie before.
Oh no. Oh no.
I'm really into half of the YouTubers I watch are people who just do nostalgia bait. So people who just review shitty old movies from the 2000s. Like Nick DeRamio is one of them I really like. And both he and another YouTuber I watch, I forgot her name, both have reviewed this movie. And this movie is a glorious mess. So get ready.
Hell yeah.
Well, that's just a perfect segue of us talking about like The Masked Singer and like these singing competition shows. Because like they're both.
It's funny because we were talking about how like High and Low has, like we were kind of like relating it to Batman, and I was like, oh, we were like totally doing that with like Zodiac too, because there's like big Zodiac vibes in the Batman. I was like, I wonder if our next movie is also gonna like tie into the Batman. I've never seen From Justin to Kelly. I guess we'll see.
Yeah, we'll find out. We'll make that connection.
I've actually never seen it either. I've just seen people seeing it.
Okay. It could be because like it's like his. I'm assuming it's like letters that he's writing to her. Maybe it's like the Riddler writing letters to Batman.
I don't want to spoil too much. It's very Annette Funicello kind of like a beach movie.
Yeah, I know. That's like literally all I know is like every still I've seen from it. It looks like just like MTV Spring Break, and
yeah,
you know what? I'm here for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want this. Like, don't spoil From Justin to Kelly. Just like, don't spoil everything everywhere all at once.
Go into
a blind. Justin to Kelly spoilers, okay?
Yeah.
I don't care that it's 21 years old. I gotta watch it with fresh eyes.
Okay. Yeah. Well. Yeah. Thanks for coming on, guys.
Yeah. Thanks for having us.
Even though it was a total last minute thing, I wish I'd like to have you guys back on again, either together or separate, to do, because what I want to do with our guests is have them bring in a movie. That's what we've done with like our last few. So if you guys have a movie that you'd like to talk about,
Do you
whether
want
it's
a dud
whether it's
or
one
do you want a good one?
whatever you want, really. So just something that you think would be fun to watch and talk about. If it's like your favorite movie of all time or your least favorite movie of all time, or just something you think is interesting.
Interesting.
So
don't make me say it.
What?
Oh, I know.
You're already smiling.
Wait.
Just my favorite movie.
Oh.
But I think I
was thinking of something else. What am I doing right now?
I don't know.
Oh, I know what you're doing.
Oh.
I'm touching my
touchback.
Yeah.
Is that not in the cup?
It's in the cup.
Okay, yeah, I thought.
Yeah.
I was like, there's no way it's not in there.
That was that where you saw the guy?
Where we saw what?
Yeah.
I'm bleeping that out, probably.
I will,
we should.
I will talk. You can cut it out, because if you ever talk about it, you definitely need to mention that, because when James was telling me about it,
that's historical.
I was like, he's like, and then they had to use it for like a court proceeding. I'm like, that's insane. Like, that is an insane thing to happen to you.
When they first messaged me about that, I had a prophecy of me like sitting in the witness booth with them like playing it next to me. And I'd just be like, this went on for a while, and then it, as I'm like talking, Chase goes up next to him and does a thumbs up. Like,
oh my god.
It was really uncomfortable for us.
There's an MLive article about him. Hot damn. Okay.
Yeah. Have you told this story on the podcast before?
No.
Save it for touchback.
I think we'll save it. Yeah, we'll save it for touchback, and we might want to. Maybe if we just bleep the name, we'll be okay. I don't know how. I mean, we didn't say anything other than like the guy from the movie, so. But yeah, that is in the cup, so that will be gotten around to eventually. But yeah, whatever. Just keep it in mind, and yeah, it'd be fun to have you guys on again.
Yeah, this was a lot of fun.
Yeah. And
also, I like watching good movies.
Yeah.
So good.
Or bad. I like watching bad movies.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's I'm glad we have the gimmick of like the one bad movie every time. It gives us like a good palate cleanser to like. Especially,
and it makes you appreciate the good ones.
Yeah.
You just watch good ones all the time. You're like on our like list of movies that we have to watch, all of them are good movies, every single one. And so you get stuff like, man, for example, like Metropolis, we watched that. That's a good movie, and I ranked it like a 7.4, and it's like, well, it wasn't as good as Rear Window, so in my opinion, at least.
That my personal, like, I try to just completely remove my this is just my personal view, like on ratings. When I am rating high and low, I try to just remove every other movie from my mind. I'm like, I'm just rating this movie. That's why I'm like, if I compared it to Seven Samurai, I'd be like, it might not have gotten as high. But I'm like, no, okay, as its own thing. It's hard sometimes. It is hard to, because like I established at the like before we started the show, like, okay, this is kind of a breakdown of like what each number means to me, what each number represents, and I would say most of the time, I'd say 8 times out of 10, I stick to that formula. But there's sometimes where I slip, and then like a week or two will go by, and I'll be like, damn it, I should have rated that like a point lower or something like that. Most of the time though. But anyways, okay, end spiel. We're on socials and shit. Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Twitter. At There Will Be Duds and everything.
Yeah.
Cool.
We got that SEO down.
Yeah. We air new episodes every Wednesday at 7 p.m. EST in podcast form on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and more. And these also air at the same time on Twitch and YouTube in video form. I already said it at the same time. So if you, I said it backwards. If you don't want to be spoiled from Justin to Kelly, make sure you watch that before next week's episode. And as always, okay, we're just kind of throwing you guys into this if you haven't actually finished an episode.
I'm finished.
See if you can.
So
I just see if you can roll with it. This is how we do our sign offs.
Sure.
So, I am your Francois Bourgeois train master, choo-chooing my way through the investigation. TJ, aka J Spot Jack Cheese, and with me as always.
I am your stern but forlorn George Michael walking sad dad, Nick, aka Dr. Funk on Twitch, and with us as always,
I'm your uncomfortably attractive murderer, Anthony Clifton, James.
Perfect.
And I am your slightly inappropriate teacher, Miss Perky Charlie.
All right. Okay. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.